They say we've turned a corner. The greatest tax burden in 70 years. National debt at the highest it has been since the 1960s. Families paying hundreds of pounds more on monthly mortgage bills. Prices still significantly higher in the shops. Economic growth on the floor. Labour will fight the next election on the economy. Every day we will expose what the Conservatives have done to our country. The choice at the next general election is simple. 5 more years of chaos with the Conservatives that will continue Britain on a path of economic decline. Or stability with a changed Labour Party that can offer hope with a long-term plan to make working people better off. It is time to turn the page, to start a new chapter in Britain's economic future. And Labour is ready.
So it's actually her own website. When you click on the advert, it takes you to her actual website. It's Rachael Reeves MP. It's Rachael Reeves MP. When you click on the ad, it's going to her channel for MP, Member of Parliament. This channel is at Rachael Reeves MP, right? The advert was for the election and it's still running. It says paid for by Rachael Reeves, but the channel's Rachael Reeves MP when you click on it.
The greatest tax burden in the Conservatives are gaslighting the British public. They say we've turned a corner. The greatest tax burden in 70 years. National debt at the highest it has been since the 1960s.
Right.
Families paying...
This advert was made for the election. It was made for during the election, right? And now when you click on the advert, it's going to Rachael Reeves MP. It even says Rachael Reeves MP, right? The channel. The advert is opposing Conservatives and for Labour, but it's not in debate in the chamber. It's not a parliamentary debate. It's an advertisement from the Chancellor MP. And the Advertising Standards Authority and the Ofcom do not seem to be able to get their head around the law. And further than that, the laws that Ofcom are operating from and the Advertising Standards Authority, they're ignoring other broadcasting laws in other acts. And there's an act, the Representation of the People Act and other acts, that when something's classed as being broadcast from abroad, it doesn't matter if you're in England or not, that Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nigel Farage and other MPs, Tice, they are stood in England, they're sat in a studio in England, but this broadcast here, it says in the law that if you make use of any equipment, any broadcasting equipments which are situated or owned by foreign companies overseas, which YouTube is, the servers of YouTube and the equipment of YouTube it comes from America. It's stored on and sent from America and goes through equipment in America. It brings another law into play, and the wording on the political broadcasting from that law is stricter for the content than for the law which Ofcom and the Advertising Standards Authority are referring to. And I've complained to them multiple times, both of those authorities. Many people have. Even when they called out Jacob Rees-Mogg, the wording on that clause, and I can tell you what clause it is afterwards, we can go to it, I can show you it because I've got it recorded. the clause is not how it's being presented to us through Ofcom's regulations. Ofcom's regulations try and claim that there is some type of definition for what type of program it's going to be, like a news program or a current affairs program or whatever. In the wording of the law, in the letter of the law, in the act that I'm referring to, which brings that law into play, it clearly states any content which is for or against any other political party is not allowed. Or could, it even said any content which could be for or against another party, or could help or hinder any other party in any election, right? But it doesn't have to be during the election. It doesn't have to be just within the time limit while the election's on. It can be anything which can affect an election at all, at any time, even before it or after it, or the election of other members, like if there's a by-election, or even politically affect people when they're going into their surgery and so forth. This is the Chancellor. The Chancellor is the Chancellor. Once she has been given the title, the Right Honourable, she's got that position 24 hours, 7 days a week. And contrary to what everyone is going to say about this, like, oh, she's acting in a different capacity. She's acting in the capacity of the Labour Party, or acting in the capacity of the Chancellor, or acting in the capacity of whoever. When you get the job of Chancellor and Prime Minister, you're on call 24/7, like doctors are, 24-hour doctors. If Putin starts a war and there's emergency, they ring Rachael Reeves up in the middle of the night and say, you have to come in and respond, right? As Hillary Clinton likes to say, the response room. It's a title. You can't drop the title. It's like a Knight of the Realm. Once you're a Knight of the Realm, you're a Knight Commander. You're in the service of Charles. That's your title given. It's an honour bestowed. And Reeves cannot drop the title when she doesn't want to use it. She can't give adverts out which are for or against a political party, and not from her channel. It's Rachael Reeves MP. This is what happened to Galloway. What they're trying to do is they're desperate now to win and to get influence. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to bend or get everyone to... They say that in order to change the law, you've got to change people's attitudes. But that doesn't make it legal. They're trying to get people to believe through the Ofcom clauses, which aren't law, through the general Ofcom rules, are not telling you the truth of the matter. They're very loose and they're very general. They're not the full truth of the law. And what they're trying to do is make the public at large believe that many of these people like Nigel Farage, Lee Anderson, Jacob Rees-Mogg, who are on massive amounts of money, and there's a woman, I forgot what her name is now. There was another MP as well, a woman. She's been on GB News. They're trying to... There's several complaints that Ofcom have been looking into with GB News since Rees-Mogg, and they're claiming they can't do anything, but they can. In fact, parliamentary privilege applies to MPs in matters to do with Parliament and politics, but not in elections and so forth. And this is in breach of the election rules. And when you commit fraud or lie, and when there are these certain things that they've made an offence, you're not covered by privilege, because in the Thomas Erskine May book, The Usage of Parliament, lying and fraud are a breach of privilege, and that goes for Lord Hanningfield in the Lord Hanningfield's case. Yet at Southwark Crown Court, Jeremy Johnson KC and Patrick Gibbs KC didn't actually have a clue about this. This is the type of thing that I'm investigating at the moment on parliamentary privileges, although Magna Carta also is in effect as well, where, barons are only allowed to be judged by their equals, but that's not ministers. That's lords and barons, not actually ministers. But ministers do get Article 9 of the 1688 Bill of Rights, but they're meant to be able to be prosecuted in between sessions or have legal suits against them in between sessions. They can't be prosecuted in matters of Parliament except where it's a breach of privilege. Now, when you commit fraud or lie or don't tell the truth, you're breaching privilege. Now, they made the law and regulations so you're not allowed to publish material which influences the public unless it's during an election. And the election's over now. And Rachael Reeves is still running this advert, and it's linked directly to Rachael Reeves MP. So this advert is put out in connection with Rachael Reeves MP's website. This is serious. I've already sent a complaint to her. She's ignored it, right? We are literally less than nothing to these people. I've got a legitimate complaint against Sir Tony Blair to the Forfeiture Committee for his title to be removed, and one against Max Hill for the Angela Ditchfield case, where he ignored 2 complete acts of law to get her prosecuted at the High Court. And that matter I've sent into the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office as well. I'm gonna register this complaint with the JCIO because I know that Rachael Reeves is not a judge, but the thing with Judicial Conduct Investigations Office is once you get up to the level of the Prime Minister and Chancellor, they've got the authority to make certain judgments. For example, you can petition Parliament on criminal matters. It is possible, like with the John Beswick and Henry Burton cases, which are well-studied history cases. Julian Assange, the postal workers, when the Prime Ministers make motions to get convictions overturned, which they did with the postal workers, that's judicial matters which they're connected with. The Lady Chief Justice also has got the Constitutional Reform Act 2005, which that office is operating under, right? And representations with the House of Commons. So the courts, the justice system has got an avenue to make representations to the House of Commons. It doesn't say what matters you can and can't represent over, right? Now, in judicial matters where ministers are covered by privilege, or they might have to forfeit your privilege, like with the Privileges Committee, for example, I would say that this is a matter for the Privileges Committee, this Rachael Reeves MP. It's definitely not a matter for the Petitions Committee unless we started making a petition about it. I could start a petition about it. Rachael Reeves, this is a matter for the Privileges Committee, but also for the Forfeiture Committee. I think Rachael Reeves should lose her title for this and be removed. I doubt Keir Starmer's going to, but I've got really strong legitimate claims against Max Hill and Tony Blair. And this probably is actually less their violations are more serious than this. I know I'm right about this. In fact, I'm going to go to which legislation and which act it is now, so it's on record. So these are the people. I'm going to throw all these people into this complaint as well because the Ofcom don't know the law. In fact, we're on the same level of law, intellect and understanding as we are with the right to petition, the 1688 Bill of Rights right to petition, which we're using. And the Crown prosecution are just ignoring it in the courts. And it's very difficult to get them to acknowledge it and recognise it properly through the legislation. When all the legislation is clear, all of the advertising legislation is clear. In fact, these advertisements are all Class E advertisements. And there is a debate and argument of whether they get to the right to petition on that, on parliamentary privileges. But because they made it illegal in the law, that's one of the privileges forfeitures, right? But for us, they're saying they can prosecute all these members of the public for like public order acts and these other crimes messing with infrastructure because they legislated it to be illegal, right? But all of the advertisements in the Town and Country Planning Act, or use of advertisements and using them in public, like, Vote Sadiq Khan out, that some of the Stop ULEZ protesters have been prosecuted with, that's all protected and legislated, where you get privileges and protection. You can actually do that. And even possibly even if you're not interfering with the bridge, if you're not taking it to pieces or stopping it from working, if you're just putting fairy lights on it, like Christmas lights, or even a sign on it, that's an advertisement on it. A lot of those people shouldn't have been prosecuted. Where Rachael Reeves is doing this, it says that they're not allowed to broadcast influential material. And also, when they are becoming celebrities through these programs, they're becoming mascots and they're becoming household names, and they're bolstering their following for the elections. In fact, it worked against Rees-Mogg because it went against him. Rees-Mogg's presence on GB News actually went in his disfavour, because it's illegal to have something which can either benefit or help you get elected or against. And it actually worked the opposite for Rees-Mogg. It really was his GB News wages and presence was actually detrimental, and he lost the election, I think, because of GB News, and that's evidence that it affected the outcome of him standing in his election. I mean, if you want to look at it and go through it again, we can do that. But all these people are now going to be part of this complaint. Esther McVeigh, Tice, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Lee Anderson, Nigel Farage, and Rachael Reeves. And I actually thought Labour knew better. I thought Starmer was trying to get his party to not break the law and not start getting involved in this self-promotive activities and only appear on programmes to answer questions. But they're going into celebritism. And also they're getting paid for it. When this is a main model of this basis, what you've got to understand, this basis, right? If you're elected as a member of the House of Parliament, or whether you're a member of the Cabinet, it doesn't matter whether you're a member of the Cabinet or not. They're saying that Mogg couldn't do it if he's a member of the Cabinet. So why is Reeves is a member of the Cabinet, but she's still putting influencer material out now, which is what this complaint has started with. When you're invited onto the news or any TV programme because you're a celebrity, no one knew about you. No one knew you existed. You weren't getting any promotion or anything other than the fact that you ran a campaign and got elected. Now, when you go on the programme, the public have put you on that programme through the power of the public votes, through the election, and the government are paying for it. The travel of the MP to go on representing the government. The money, they're only there on the votes and money of the people. Now, when you switch over the money, so Mogg is getting money from the programme to be on there, but he's serving as an MP. If you take, he's getting money and he's been held on there by the programme, which is affecting his popularity, either way, for or against. Yet he's not there because he's been elected and he's been paid for to drive there by the public. He's there on another power, which is helping his parliamentary success and his presence. And that's not allowed. He's there. The public have paid him to go on there and answer questions. And the fiction that, or it's a certain type of programme, it actually doesn't matter. There is no certain type of programme. When you look at the law, it's got the definition of what type of programme it is, presumes it may or may not be, or is likely or unlikely to talk about certain things. It's actually got nothing to do with what type of programme it is by the letter of the law. It says anything which can influence the outcome or even could influence the outcome, is capable of, right, in political elections or favouring certain political parties. And that is what their presence is doing now, because they've divulged from being invited on as guests into presenting and even guiding conversation. They've become mascots, and it's either helping them get more popular. If GB News had not of existed, I don't think that Nigel Farage would have got elected, or Tice. That's for sure. That programme is the only reason that they got elected, not through any of the adverts they even put out through their own campaigns, because it was a glorious self-promotion of being on there and present. Here is some of the legislation that I've got, right? For example, in the Representation of the People Act 1983, and this is legal basis now that we've got in law. In the Representation People Act 1983, 92, the title of the provision, it says broadcasting from outside the United Kingdom, right? The title's misleading into the particulars and details of it, right? It says broadcasting, the word from outside the United Kingdom. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be situated in or out of the United Kingdom at all. It's the broadcast, the signal, the actual mechanics of it, right? It says that no person, so it's not just actually, this is not members of the cabinet. This is not isolated to members of the cabinet, which like they were claiming with Rees-Mogg, or whether he's in the cabinet or whether he's just a member of parliament, and he's not neither now, right? Because he didn't get elected. He's not an MP anymore. It says no person shall, with an intent to influence persons, to give or refrain from giving their votes at a parliamentary or local government election, right? No person shall with intent to influence persons to give or refrain from giving. Well, that advert that Rachael Reeves put out was intended to influence persons to give votes for Labour and not for the Tories at the time of its intent, its creation. And the election's over now and it's still running. And it's general Conservatives and Labour. And there can be by-elections running at any time. And people are also going to see their MPs in surgery, do petitions and asking them to act in Parliament and act in matters either for or against Conservative policies as well. It says that give or refrain from giving their vote at a parliamentary or local government election, include or aid, abet or counsel or procure the inclusion of any matter relating to the election in any programme service, right? It says include or aid, abet, counsel or procure the inclusion of any matter relating to the election. Well, the thing is, right, Reese, there's a really big issue that when you're not appearing purely on the grace of votes that they want you on because the public elected you, or else they wouldn't even know you are and weren't interested in you, right? That money that you're driving to that programme and appearing on there, you got the privilege of appearing on there, right, is all meant to be under taxpayer money, right? Now, when the TV programme puts you on as a guest, you're becoming a celebrity and popular by position, and you're getting money, and then that money's being taxed, right? But yet you're getting publicity and fame from having a constant position on there, which is but you haven't been sent there by Parliament from being elected and under the money of the taxpayer. The taxpayer's money hasn't put you on that TV screen and put you in the studio by taxpayers' chauffeur or taxpayers' car, which they've given you to use for parliamentary purposes to get there. You're on the show and you're being on there, and the thing is, it is going to influence you in the election because it's your image. And all of these politicians are only on there because they know about politics. Politics is their subject, and no matter what guests they get on, no matter what type of programme it is or what the programme claims it's going to be talking about, or supposes it's going to be talking about, you're still that person with the title in Parliament. So when they refer to you and introduce you, They're always referring to you and introducing you. It is Jacob Rees-Mogg MP while he's MP. It doesn't matter whether he's in the cabinet or not. He's Jacob Mogg MP. Now, every time you've got Jacob Mogg MP on TV, he's getting promotion. He's not sat at the side and he hasn't driven there in a car paid for by the taxpayer, by Parliament, and he's coming on with the privilege of being elected to be on there, and he's getting people to know who he is while he's elected and answering questions. Once he becomes the presenter, he's held there by the programme itself. Is holding him on there, and he's getting paid for it. And all the tax money is not elected tax money. You've got to understand the underlying framework of this. And he's getting more and more and more famous. Now, it could go for him or against him. With Rees-Mogg, he actually got less popular because I think people really thought that he shouldn't be on there and knew that deep down in their hearts that he's not supposed to be on there. And now that media has got popular and they're all fighting to get their opinions heard and they all want to win, they've flaunted the rules. In fact, I think that GB News really has been invented to try to undermine the rules and change the public's perception and opinion in order so they can do it for long enough so everyone believes that they can and could do it when they can't. And that's why Ofcom's rules are so flimsy and they're claiming they can't act. Ofcom staff aren't intelligent enough to understand it properly because the Crown Prosecution, it's the exact same level of intellect and law that we're at with the CPS and them prosecuting petitions and the police arresting people and prosecuting petitions. But yet they won't arrest Rees-Mogg. They won't arrest Rachael Reeves. Yet it's a breach of privilege. Right? Now, it says that they cannot include any matter relating to the election in any programme service. Does it say that it has to be a news programme service there? It doesn't say that it has to be a news programme service. It doesn't say that it has to be a casual talk show service. It doesn't say it has to be the BBC or any other type of programme. It says any programme service. Now, when you are Jacob Rees-Mogg MP or the Chancellor and you're presenting that programme, you're including matters to do with Parliament, right? By you being that person, but not in the position of being there, paid for by the taxpayer, to be there and answer questions, and then if you lose an election, then you're not there anymore. You're permanently there all the time, and you're getting a benefit for your parliamentary presence and activity from that programme. And this is what Rachael Reeves is doing with her advertisements. Her channel is Rachael Reeves MP. But she's running an advert still which was benefiting her party in the election, and it's carrying on. And we know there are by-elections coming up all the time, right? And it's all these adverts she's got are also actually influencing the electors. Really, they're on her Parliament channel. I don't think it's right. And I think Starmer, maybe he's advised her, and that means that it's Starmer's fault and Starmer's responsible for it. But let's go down this legislation, because I know that this provision is called Broadcasting from Outside the United Kingdom, but it says, within the meaning of the Broadcasting Act 1990, provided from a place outside the United Kingdom, otherwise than in pursuance of arrangements made within the BBC, Simon Padua Kimru, or the holder of any licence granted by the communications or the representations of transmission for other matter than the body, that, or in pursuance with the Independent Television Commission of the Radio Authority. And then 2, it says, any programme contractor whose contract continues in force by virtue of Part 2 or of the Schedule 11 to the Broadcasting Act for the matter to be received by that body or contractor and retransmitted by that body in the provision of any broadcasting service in accordance with the said schedule. An offence under this section shall be an illegal practice. Right? So it shall be an illegal practice. So they're actually saying that you're not covered by privileges. They've made it an illegal practice in law, and they're saying you're not covered by privileges with this. This is, by making it illegal for MPs and ministers to do it, they're setting the rules, and they're saying that this isn't covered by privileges, right? But the court before whom a person is convicted of an offence under this section may, if they think fit, think it just in the special circumstances of the case, mitigate any incapacity imposed by virtue section 174. Where any act or omission of an associated or body of persons, corporate and corporate, is an illegal offence in this section. Any person who at the time of the act or omission was the director of the practice. So this is to do with the responsibility of the actual broadcaster as well. Now, here, incapacity to hold public or judicial office in Scotland below a person which of a corrupt practice shall, for a period of 5 years, be incapable of holding any public or judicial office in Scotland, and if already holding such an office shall vacate for that date. An incapacity required the persons which above incapacity and conviction of corrupt legal practice.